And then we are kicking off with Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn, or would we? They come out, and then out comes Nick Aldis, supporting his black eye, which probably woke up and this morning with no glory in this eye. And he comes out, and as per his agreement with Paul Levesque about calling things down the middle, he is going to do what is fair and adds Gunther to the match. And Zayn is furious about this. They have like these shots of Zayn reacting to this, and he's all upset. But then Aldis says, I didn't say that's the only person that I am adding. And with that, brings back Kevin Owens for his first match in a year and a half after neck surgery. And what would you say, the biggest pop on the show, I think, is safe to say?
I think so. Sure. You could say that. I mean, the main event was certainly plenty loud, but yeah.
It was loud, but in terms of a sustained pop, like this was pretty big, and naturally being the surprise you could expect it. And he came out, and, he seemed very emotional coming out here. They showed several women in tears as the man was coming out that they were able to capture. They found one. I was like, wow, this woman was brought to tears. Then they found another woman in tears as well. So, Cole's explaining he had fusion of his C5, C6 vertebrae. And I guess we should talk about this now because he talked a little bit about it on the post show. He came out, and Joe Tessitore gave this really heartwarming speech to introduce Kevin Owens about all the adversity he overcame, and Owens was thankful for it, but basically said, I don't want to talk about anything that I've gone through. He did thank Big E and his family. He also thanked his surgeons, the trainers at the PC, and he went out of his way to also thank Tanea Brooks, Rebel, who he says, I know has never worked here, but watching her struggle with ALS and how she's handled that inspired me as well. It was a really nice speech that he gave. Very, this was not Kevin Owens playing the Kevin Owens character. This was very much just himself out here. And when they did, we'll get to the Punk stuff after because that's more storyline driven. But the main takeaway from this is that he realistically thought that this might have been the end of his career. When he was asked about that news, were you okay with this? And this is Big E that's asking about this, so it has that added layer to it. Owens said that there was a point where that was what it felt like he was looking at, and he said, I did not take that news well, and I was fighting it, and it sounded like the neck was not healing, and he finally got a scan about a month or so ago, and that was the positive news that I guess they saw what they needed to see in terms of progress, and it looked like, they certainly felt like this was touch and go if he would be cleared to ever wrestle again. So it seems like this all did come together in the last month or so.
And it would maybe make sense why those particular fans were crying. Perhaps maybe they knew about some of the, hardships that Owens had to go through.
Well, or they were Sami Zayn fans and they realized, oh man, they're not going to
be that too.
Maybe they can't beat Owens in this situation. So I think everyone knew what the outcome of this one was going to be. But hey man, credit to Owens here because he came out and dude hit he's hitting cannonballs instantly. And I mean, God bless the guy that he's coming back and he's just going all out here. But I was like, this guy's out of his mind, just testing everything immediately. This was like watching Bryan Danielson with taking Luke Harper and saying, yeah, give me a half and half right on the neck immediately. He was coming out and he was like, we're going to test this neck out. And he even said on the post show, he said, listen, my surgeons, everyone around me has told me to take it careful. I am not taking it careful. Even if it means I'm done in 2 years, then I'm done in 2 years. But it sounds like his mentality is I am not compromising anything, even if it means a premature end to my career with this neck. And I mean, this match, this was only 8 minutes or so, but I mean, he fit a lot in here in the 8 minutes.
I don't know if he would be the type to have his career last so long that he wouldn't be able to keep up this style of wrestling that he's been doing for 20 something years. He has never, despite great success, adjusted or changed the ferocity and intensity of his style at all. And I can't imagine he, number one, he probably has too much pride in his work to do it. Number two, I think he would hate it. He would hate feeling, that level of handicap. So this is, it's a horse being set free, and this horse ran.
Wow, bringing the poetry tonight is Wei Ting. So Zane's reactions here were amazing because they've got like the split screen of him, like his jaw is on the floor as Owens is coming out. And remember, the last Owens match was with Zane here at Rogers Center for the Elimination Chamber show. So that was the last that we had seen. Well, the last match he had. He was then doing the whole Randy Orton lead up to WrestleMania, and that's when he had to pull out of Mania. So the match begins again. Owens comes out. He's hitting cannonballs, very loud reaction. And then it's him face to face with Sami Zayn. And the two embrace before they go right back into striking one another. And Owens then climbs to the top for a swanton to all three on the floor, just declaring that he has been cleared and he is back. Also seems like even more than prior that it feels like the stunner is going to be his main finisher. It felt like even more so, like it seemed like he was utilizing that the most here. We saw Fisherman Buster off the buckle onto Balor, and there's multiple saves in here. Owens goes for another swanton and lands on the knees of Zayn, and then he grabs his neck, and referee Ryan Tran pulls Sammy away, and the haluva is set up. Zayn is going to go to take out Owens, but Gunther cuts him off with the sleeper. That's broken up with the coup de grace, and Gunther was late here making the save. Like, he barely got a finger on Balor, who had to like use this as like the save on the cover. Owens makes his return after injuring his neck, stuns Balor, stuns Gunther, and then there's a Blue Thunder Bomb by Zayn. Owens kicks out, and the haluva is stopped with a super kick, and he stuns Zayn for the win in 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So they crammed a lot into 8.5 minutes in this match. But the headline is Kevin Owens is back, and he is also now the number one contender for CM Punk, which he didn't even go into when they asked him on the post show. He said, I will address that at a later day, but they're already teasing. Like, Paul Levesque did this interview on the post show that, Punk and Owens, they have a lot of history, some of what you know, and a lot behind the scenes that only me and Cody know. It's a very secretive, and might have to tell that story. But quite frankly, I think this is a much more refreshing direction for Punk than Gunther. I think they'll do Gunther, but I think Punk and Owens, that feels like a really fresh program. The promo segments will be dynamite, and I think that's a great program to go to for both of these guys.
And for Owens to just come back right into the title picture right away with a high-profile feud against CM Punk, there's certainly no going easy for a stage like that. So I think it makes sense, like especially him knowing that he was winning tonight, why he certainly didn't take it easy. He didn't just have to like take a baby step back into the pool. He had to like go right into the deep end and show that he's capable of the spot. So certainly he showed it tonight. So I hope, he's feeling healthy enough, for what will probably be a pretty substantial program with CM Punk that I think everybody is very much salivating over, both in the ring and also on the microphone. As far as the match tonight goes, I found it to be like a fun sprint. To me, I do think like a lot of the undercard matches tonight did not feel substantial enough for a pay-per-view. Even when at what it was a 3-hour length show again, 2 hours 50 minutes in fact, but like 6 matches spread out that time, you would expect these matches to get a bit more length and to tell their stories. This one was 8 minutes, and you could do a lot in 8 minutes, but it felt by the end of it like they never really hit that higher gear. Again, still a fun sprint. You had some great combinations here throughout between Finn and Gunther, Owens and Gunther, which like that looked awesome. So really, like on SmackDown, they have a wonderful mix of like top end guys right now that I'm looking forward to see throughout the rest of the year. But this didn't really feel maybe as satisfying as you would think, when you look at this match on paper.
It's like, I think in these kind of situations, it's like the event was Owens' return. It was like the match was very secondary, and yes, the finish was important because of the outcome, but it was more so just the Owens return, which is, that's going to leave a lot of people satisfied. If this had been a built-up match and it was 8.5 minutes, I think people would have been much more annoyed that they got so little time, because certainly you look at the talent here, this would have a very high expectation level, but I think they were banking on the surprise as what they're delivering for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We are wrapping up the summer big on the Post Wrestling Cafe as John Pollock and Neil Flanagan are flying to London, England for live on-the-ground coverage of AEW All in London. Also this month, we conclude our reviews of Dark Side of the Ring and WWE Unreal Season 3, reviews of ROH's Death Before Dishonor and TNA Lockdown, Rewind Away will cover the WWF Aggression album, and Book Club will cover Total Nonstop Agony by Vince Russo. Sign up now at postwrestlingcafe.com.